I woke up at 4:45 this morning, and I finished the finishing touches of the script and spent my first 3 hours on deep work. What time did you wake up today? Well, maybe this video will help you. The Caesar Alexander effect. Why reading about great lies awakens greatness in you. First, why is it important to read autobiographies? Well, first, stories activate identity. We get so immersed in the story narrative as we experience it ourselves. It's like every time I went to see the movies, I got fully invested and immersed into the story. And all the time, and every time, I forgot all about my life, what was going on with my life at that time I was seeing the movie. Second, it's the emotional proof. When I was reading about Alexander, I got to know his personal struggles, his transformation, and his life story. Unlike any theoretical books where they are theoretical and they have poorly tested, for example, war strategies versus the practical war strategies that brought victories that are well documented and well studied. Third, it's the triggering of competitive ignition. I found ideas and thoughts, say like from Arnold's biography about his work ethics that matches mine. And I got a right boost of motivation because of that. I have a vision now of who I could become doing like this by doing the same work ethics and the same tactics as Arnold did in his heyday. The fourth, it's the personal mentorship. I learned and memorized the mental models and the frameworks of unique and those creative approaches that brought victories and brought real results. With also my admiration and fascination with the Alexander's approach on let's say example, conquering the Sogdiana by taking its most formidable stronghold, called the Sogdian Rock, on the top of a high mountain, surrounded by all sides with dangerously high cliffs, and with his 300 winged soldiers who volunteered to take up this impossible challenge in the worst conditions to climb up top of the cliff near Sogdiana's rock, to taunt, scare, and shock the fortress inhabitants to surrender, when before they shouted to Alexander and his army that they will not surrender, and they keep resisting, and only flying men could ever take this fortress. So the psychological effect of seeing Macedonian soldiers above their fortress, just as if they've flown there, and the illusion of being surrounded by an army above them brought victory to Alexander. It's a pretty genius and insane story. So the effect, Caesar Alexander effect, or you might also additionally say Caesar Alexander Achilles effect. The known story of how Caesar sighed and groaned at Alexander's achievements, feeling he has achieved nothing, and the results of this after. And also Alexander himself modeled his life on the stories of Achilles from the Homer's Iliad. So this story goes, Caesar was a young officer in Spain, and once he visited the temple of Hercules in the city of Gades in Spain, and he saw the statue of Alexander. He supposedly groaned or wept over Alexander's greatness and on his own non-memorable deeds. After that, he vows to rival Alexander in glory, greatness, and in fame. Then he returned to Rome, forms a political alliance with Pompey and Crassus. Then he conquers Gaul, expanding Rome's dominion. Then he crosses the Rubicon River with his army, defies the Senate, and starts a civil war on Rome. Then he becomes a dictator for life. After that, he reforms Rome, ends the last governance system of the Republic, and lays the foundation for the Rome's empire. And after his death, his name becomes a title, a political system, and the effect of recording a historical effect called the Caesarism, which is the return and rise of strong, will-driven individual rulers when the democracy decays. So what is that? What happened to Caesar when he compared himself to Alexander? First, it's the upward social comparison. It's the comparing and evaluating yourself to someone greater than you. As a psychologist call this upward social comparison, it can either inspire us or crush us, depending on how relevant and attainable that greatness feels. As in one experiment in 1997 by Lockwood and Kunda, people who read about articles about the superstars in their own field, they had higher inspiration, had more positive self-evaluations, and set higher goals for themselves. But only if the success felt reachable and relevant. Second, it is the identity as simulation, which is starting to identify and mirror the admired figure. You assimilate their parts into you. Well, in neuroscience, this is called narrative transportation theory. By becoming so immersed in a story that we feel like experiencing it ourselves. It is because of our mirror neurons responding when engaging in an act and while observing the same act in the others. Third is the fear of mediocrity and misachievement. It is the emotional low point and realization of one's unrealized potential, which is similar to the Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch impulse, which is a drive to transcend and go beyond one's current self through confronting with superior examples. Fourth, it is the anxiety that becomes an activation energy. The tension and envy sparking a flame of driving force to a higher version of yourself. As also in psychology, it is called the productive discomfort. When admiration meets frustration, it can ignite transformation rather than paralysis. As in one study, students with low perseverance, when they read about stories of their role models struggling before success, after that, they developed stronger growth mindsets and higher perseverances. As also Carl Jung observed this as the archetype of the self. There is in the unconscious something that corresponds to a preformed pattern. an image of completedness which strives to realization, which essentially is our subconscious drive for expanding, for realizing our potential. The fifth is the integration, which is to taking that drive and acquired knowledge and channel it into a clear goal, habit, or a legacy pursuit. When it all seems beautiful and nice, it is not, because comparing yourself to great figures with huge gaps of what you can and can't really do can instead trigger paralysis, depression, low self-esteem, inferiority, distorted ambition, delusion, or even criminality rather than motivation. I had no interest or any kind of desire for reading autobiographies in my youth because I thought simply I could not relate to those men. I could never achieve the same results as, for example, Alexander did in his 20s. And I cannot go and conquer new lands or conquer cities and raise an army. And therefore, it was just not... it didn't ring a bell on me on being a relevant thing to read and get inspiration from. So I just dismissed them and focused on the general self-help books for starters, like making some basic progress and just reading the steps and listening to some inspirational stories from the other guys. Which was just very brief and short and not mentioning their struggles and their story in detail. Or also the story of Daniel Lugo, or Daniel Lugo effect from the he was a bodybuilder, and a movie is made after him also called Pain and Gain, which is a great movie, and if you can, go watch that. Which is essentially a story of a bodybuilder's desire for self-made success and wealth, and descending from admiration into obsession and a crime to the dark side effect of comparison, where the ambition outran ethics and becoming great by any means necessary, even by kidnapping, extortion, and ending someone's life. Well, yeah, it can happen, but you can counter that by don't stay in comparison and become that idolize the next person. Move into acquiring practical knowledge, asking what principles of theirs can I apply today, tomorrow, in this month? What can I take from it? What can I take from them that benefits me in this moment, in this time period? Well, there is also, as the second one is, only winners are showcased. Because for every successful new movie star, or the next Caesar, or Steve Jobs, or Alexander, thousands and thousands of others have failed, died, or they have wrecked their lives permanently by trying to follow the same path. It's like I'm not going to be the greatest next bodybuilder of all times, even if I wanted to. Today, this is impossible. And to counter that, well, it is why you study their patterns of thinking, their wins and their losses. You extract systems, methods, and steps, not try to copy their results and outcomes. Then there is also different circumstances due to time, culture, technology, and luck. And you can't reproduce their journeys today. Yes, true. But to go against that and to counter that, you're not meant to copy their era. You're decoding their timeless psychological principles of clarity, discipline, and vision. The environment changes, but those foundational mental operating systems do not. And lastly, autobiographies are just self-edited, glorified myths. These books are biased. People romanticize, glorify, and selectively remember their lives accordingly as they want. You're just reading their marketing version. Yeah, true. But to counter that is just to look at this as their power in motivation lies in these books' ability to get and inspire you to take action. Even if you read their filter story and their ideas and beliefs and about success, they are still valuable mental models that guided them, and they had some sort of effect on their success, or the ideas on how to get there as what they thought, believed, and thought to be true, even if it was wrong, but they found success anyway by just trying some next step, which could have not been taken otherwise if he hasn't thought about this kind of step. So what is coming out of this is like this golden path of an effective utilization of the Caesar-Alexander effect, which sounds like something like this: to do not worship greatness, decode it. Use the Caesar-Alexander effect as a mirror, not a measuring stick. When feeling that the sting of comparing yourself and measuring, don't suppress it, but study it. As a Younger put it, it's your subconscious pointing toward to your own unrealized potential and your desire to expand. And it is not your inadequacy. Channel that emotion charge into something tangible. Take one trait at a time, one decision making habit, one idea, one work ethic pattern at a time, from the great lies you read about, and integrate it into your own day. For example, you can take the work ethics of Arnold's, of 5 to 6 hours of working towards a dream, 6 days a week, or being a more initiative in fast action taking from Alexander's stories. The goal isn't to become the next Caesar, Alexander, or Arnold. It is to awaken the same force of becoming that moved them to their greatness. So the real outcome is like of this effect is to turn that comparison into fuel, envy into energy, and admiration into action. And every time you compare yourself to greatness, you're not to see your limits. You are to see your blueprint, something that you can use and model your own life from that. So the third chapter, which is your personal drive and momentum, which is obsessively going after your dreams. This is what you ultimately want, right? But for that obsession, you need to get into this new state. By example, using a mental model of activation energy, which is used in chemistry, where every reaction has an invisible wall, an energy barrier. So no reaction happens until enough energy, for example heat, is added to get the molecules moving over that wall. After that reaction runs on its own. It's like the strike a match weakly, gets you nothing. Strike it hard enough, it flames up and keeps burning without extra effort. And in life, it's often the brutal and hard first push required to escape your current state of maybe flawed and ill productivity while you want more. Only by pushing yourself hard, you're using enough of energy to create something new, a new change. As real change, lasting change, always takes effort, so you might as well invest more of it than you think you need to, and you just might get there. As in, my activation energy was very weak with my first talking head videos on this channel. So I found new type of video creation that just fascinated me. And I could willingly and naturally invest a lot more effort and time to produce that or those types of mini movie type of videos. But my energy expenditure on this project turned out to be too huge and too taxing, that it was simply not worth to continue like this with another project. The second mental model is a catalyst. They are also used in chemistry to provide alternative pathways for the reaction and change to occur as more reactant particles in the reaction with enough energy in the mix. The chemical reaction is faster, safer, and therefore cheaper. As catalysts are not consumed up and used up by the reaction and can be removed and used again, making them very useful for the reaction to occur again. As in life, it is often used by various means and tools to get to change yourself faster, to make the first hard push for the activation energy easier and smaller, like using a personal boxing coach to evolve faster than instead in a group coaching where there are a lot of people and just one coach. Your development compared to that is much more slower because you're getting so little time on to train you properly. Or using leverage to move a big rock with lesser energy. Maybe it's also hearing an inspirational and motivational struggle story, or trying out a ketogenic diet to reduce the amount of time needing to sleep and have a stable energy to do more deep work. I remember I had little catalysts when I started, and my changes were also very slow. As I slowly added new means, new catalysts, I got better in my productivity and eliminating my procrastination. Like, for example, like pre-planning my next day on a day before, workouts, visualizing my professional and personal goals and key activities, writing them down regularly, deep work first thing in the morning, meditation for clarity, carnivorous lifestyle or being in ketosis for energy stability, open-ended tasks, which means I will not finish my most important task on this day, but push the final part of this to the next day. So the next day I know exactly what I want to do. The first thing in the morning is to finish the work that I started yesterday but did not finish. Trying and targeting to go into flow state, public commitments, doing a dopamine fast on Sunday. Lastly, adopting intrinsic journey-based motivation, reducing my big tasks to smaller ones throughout the day, or one small task in every other day, lessening my distractions, and lastly is starting to read autobiographies. So in my opinion, Caesar-Alexander effect is one of the most powerful catalysts that sparks this extra emotional drive and a force for change. As it's being the most powerful social comparison. And when I compared myself to Arnold and Alexander, I was like fascinated by their visions, their dreams, their goals, their hopes of becoming, and their relentless passion and work ethics to pursue those goals and the dreams that they had. Working 5 to 6 hours a day on building the best body the world has ever seen at that time. And doing that 6 days a week, it's pretty amazing, right? And reading about Alexander's conquests and the stories of how he went from Macedonia almost to the other side of the world near India, right? And all the cities he conquered and the things he had done. It is just, crazy. And and the personality traits that they had, for example, Alexander's initiative fast action that reconfirmed that my bold initiative action taking part of my identity is valuable, and by increasing my courage to trying to do the hardest things when necessary, because he had done so many hard things when they were needed in his conquest. So in summary, autobiographies, they give you proof instead of principles. Like Alexander being daring and initiative in the island city of Tyre capture, and cunning in Sogdian rock fortress city capture. It's like Arnold becoming the youngest Mr. Olympia winner in his when he was 20 years old and moving to America at 20 years old. It's it's pretty inspiring and great to see those stories. It's concrete and emotional instead of general and abstract. Arnold got his one thing. He used his natural gift of his large body frame to pack on more muscles and adopted and modeled his idolized figure of Rachel Park's journey on his success, and started doing 4 to 6 hours of working out every day, 6 days a week, only resting for 1 day. It shows you who to become instead of telling you what to do. The greatest bodybuilder of all time, a young, cunning general who founded cities, changed geography, defeated armies twice his size in his 20s. They inspire your identity instead of your momentary thoughts. By adopting and copying their strategies and personality, like 4 to 6 hour deep work daily towards your one goal, daring personality traits, courage to take risks and bold moves, initiative and fast action taking. They give you incentives instead of choices, as they prompt you to ask yourself, what within me wants to realize himself through their example and their reflection, and what successful tactics, strategies, and ideas I can copy and take from this and use right away. As Young put it, one must transform the power of unconsciousness into consciousness. So the end of this video is, I want you to feel like your dreams and goals are more desirable and attractive to your brain than social media apps and procrastination. I want you to fall in love with your results-giving deep work, and you feel like you don't want to do anything else but to go after your goals. That's why I recommend you to read Autobiographies. So please remember also to do the action items. And stay sharp and stay aware. And I'll see you in the next one.